What's up guys, and welcome to the channel. Today we are working on the RS3 once again, dialing in the handling. Now as you guys have seen over the last several months, started out with the H&R lowering springs along with the wheel spacers that really help this car feel much more planted, lowering the center of gravity and stiffening up the suspension just enough to where hard turns, hard accelerations, and hard braking, the car is much flatter without sacrificing any of the normal ride quality. Next up, I did the ECS Tuning front sway bar end links. Those really help make the steering feel a lot smoother. However, you guys have commented saying rear sway bar end links are a must for the 8Y Audi RS3. So that is what we are doing today. These are the ECS Tuning rear adjustable sway bar end links. Super inexpensive upgrade to do, and I'm already kind of working on it, getting my bearings with it. Here's what the factory one looks like. It is plastic. I didn't believe it. You guys told me that they were plastic factory, and here you go, plastic sway bar end links on a $65,000 high performance car from Audi. I don't know what they were thinking with some things, but yeah, cheap plastic versus the adjustable ones made of all solid metal. These are gonna be much more heavy duty, and given my car's lowered, we can adjust these to make it at the optimal level for the rear sway bar to really make sure the handling is perfect. So with that said, let's continue. This upgrade doing the rear sway bar end links, it really should help the handling of this car, because the way this car is set up, the front wheels are wider, the front track is wider, and it's a front wheel drive biased all-wheel drive system. So if you're under acceleration around a sharp turn, the front end turns and then the rear end kind of follows later. It's a little bit weird feeling. It is significantly improved with the mods so far, and from what you guys have said, along with running a square setup, which maybe eventually I will do that when we do new tires, but a lot of you guys have said better sway bar end links in the rear really make that rear end feel a little bit tighter. So here's what we are doing right now. We're just working on getting this one side back together. So what I'm gonna be using is a little bit of Loctite. We're going to reinstall this piece and make them about the same length as the factory one. I might make it just a tad shorter given the geometry of the suspension, since my car is a little bit lower. And don't forget, I will have these products linked down below along with the front sway bar end links for those of you with the Audi RS3 who are looking to improve your car. So check out that link in the description below. To start removing everything, we have two 10mm bolts. They're gonna be on the underside of this plastic cover. And then you're gonna have two plastic push tabs on the top portion on the left and right side of the spring. And then we have our 13mm bottom of the sway bar end link bolt. And then I'm gonna use a 5/8 and we're gonna get this upper bolt off. Alright, and there is the stock sway bar end link. And then I've already gone ahead and adjusted this to match the other side that you already saw. But from here, pretty simple, just kind of slowly lower it into its spot, and then just take the bolt. We can always get that through. And then we're gonna place one of the washers on it, get it through the hole, and then get the other washer supplied with the kit, and pop on that new bolt. And then to help line it up a little bit better, I found that if you lift up this control arm, just to help line up that bolt a little bit straighter, puts a little bit less pressure on it so you can easily smoothly tighten it. So from here, I'm taking a 14mm, putting it on the inside bolt here, and then taking a 17mm, and we can slowly but surely tighten up the bolt on the front. And with that upper one all nice and tight, we can just go ahead and put the bolt on the bottom side and then crank this one nice and tight. And then we can lower that down. And then super easy, we can just slide this cover back into place, along with the plastic push tabs up in front. All right, there we go. Both rear sway bar end links have been installed. That job takes like 20 minutes. That is super easy to do. And now we do not have the cheap plastic sway bar end links anymore on the RS3. Crazy that this is their solution to that. You would think they would do something a little bit more high tech, But from here, we can put these away and enjoy the ECS Tuning ones. Nice and adjustable, heavy duty metal. And now, let's go ahead and get this car down on the ground, go for a spin, and see if we have continued to dial in the handling with this super little car. So then, the first test drive now. Gotta start off with an acceleration. This thing is insane sounding. So normal driving, I've already done kind of a little lap just to feel it out. Feels really smooth. The car definitely feels a little bit next step up in just smoothness, the way it tracks as you go slowly around turns. So we're in RS performance mode, the most performance focused drive mode this car has to offer. Definitely smooth around some sweepers. So I feel like the weird thing with this car, like I mentioned, sometimes when you turn, the back end seems to do it later. I didn't really notice that on that turn, just kind of doing some quicker maneuvers. You didn't really feel it doing it later. It almost felt like the car was turning all together. So I'm already noticing that. And basically what the sway bar end links do, if you think about it, the sway bar is a thick piece of metal to kind of connect one side of the suspension to the other, being it's independent. So when one side wheel goes up, that sway bar is technically connected to the other control arm to help pull the opposite side up to limit the body roll and to increase the stability of your car when you're taking those sharp turns. Now with the front end links, the factory ones were kind of like three-sided metal, not really all that strong compared to a solid, circle shape of aluminum or something. Like in a truck, a fully boxed frame you want rather than a C-shaped frame rail. Now with the rears, they're made of plastic, so there's gonna be a little bit of flex, just a little bit of give in them. Not exactly the most ideal material to use for something that is constantly going up and down with a lot of force on it. However, now the new ones, this thing's too addicting to floor, and it's so darn quick. But with the new ones, I feel like that solid metal construction is going to make it to where they're not going to have any flex given they're solid metal. And the adjustments, given my car is lowered, it makes it to where you can get that sway bar in the original angle to optimize how it was designed from the factory. So I'll turn on to some more twisty roads, feel it out a little bit more. But already I'm noticing a good difference with how the rear end is working. And those front end links made it to where this front wheel drive bias system made it to where there's a little bit less steering input when you floored around a turn. That was kind of my biggest complaint with this car. If you're accelerating out of a turn, the front end just kind of has its own thing doing. I don't like front wheel drives in general, so this is a very different all-wheel drive system to get used to. Significantly different than my old GTR, and obviously nothing like the Supra, which is rear wheel drive. You're going to get no steering input on that. The Supra handles so well. The GTR, for its size, handled insane. This car is kind of a blend, but needs some work to basically get rid of the front wheel drive feeling that this car can offer. So already I'm noticing kind of just a more solid handling. It's a little bit smoother in the turns. The steering has improved with the front sway bar and links, and now with the rear ones, I feel like the rear end is just a little bit more quick to respond and responds, when the car is. And those brakes. Yeah, that is much quicker when you are going hard into the turn. Definitely a lot smoother. Under braking in a turn, the rear end definitely is quicker to respond, which I like. Crazy, a little tiny end link makes such a difference. Yeah, the car is definitely more put together to where the front and the rear are kind of reacting more closely the way you would expect it to operate. All right, there we go. After driving in the RS3 with those new rear sway bar end links, that makes a sweet difference. It totally makes the rear end of the car just a little bit more tight, more responsive, and the rear end and front end now are working together the way it should in your typical sports car. So this car's definitely got some interesting handling characteristics due to the wider front wheels, the wider front track, the front wheel drive bias system. So it's a little odd, not quite what I'm used to. That definitely made a good difference, and they're incredibly inexpensive. So take a look at the links down below. These are from ECS Tuning. We have a link working with them, so definitely check out that link. That lets them know that you came from our videos. So I'll have the front and rears that I've installed on this car linked down below, along with the lowering springs and wheel spacers. So far, this suspension setup has drastically changed the way this car drives. I am thoroughly blown away. Obviously with the intake, exhaust, and mid pipes, that makes this thing sound insane. But these handling mods have really made this car even more fun to drive. I think next up in the future, once the tires wear out, we will look for a square setup like a lot of you have mentioned, same size tires all around. So that'll be an interesting way to go just to further dial everything in. But that is it for today's video. Super easy install, super quick, and super inexpensive. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content. I'll see you all in the next video.